Welcome to Best in Class. My name is AJ Madden. I have the honor and privilege of helping individuals and organizations become best in class at what they do. Today's guest is Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. He's been recognized as one of the top 10 business thinkers in the world. He is the author of the New York Times bestseller and number one Wall Street Journal business book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, winner of the Harold Longman Award as Best Business Book of the Year. With a PhD from UCLA, Marshall is a pioneer in both executive coaching and 360-degree feedback as a leadership tool. With nearly 40 years of hands-on experience, Marshall is a leading expert, the leading expert on leadership and coaching for behavioral change. His clients have included Ford Motor Company, Best Buy, Mayo Clinic, the World Bank, and the U.S. Navy. Marshall Goldsmith, welcome to Best in Class. It's an honor.
Oh, very nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Marshall has been named the number one leadership thinker in the world multiple times. But I believe he is also one of the world's greatest experts on living a good life. And here's what I mean by living a good life. Every day, doing your best to be happy today, not sometime in the future. Number two, every day, doing your best to serve the most important people in your life at the highest level. And number three, every day, taking at least one small action in pursuit of your biggest goals and dreams. So, if any of those three things interest you, buckle your seatbelt because you will learn exactly how to do those things today. Marshall, it's showtime. Can you tell us what that phrase means to you?
Well, one thing I do before I work is I always tell myself, there's no business like show business. And, and every day I try to be up and positive, and I'm always inspired by Broadway stars. One of my friends is Telly Leung. He played the role of Aladdin on Aladdin in Broadway. He played the lead role of Aladdin 1,000 times. And I asked Telly, how you do it? How do you stay up and positive like that over and over, night after night? And, he said when he was a little kid, I mean, Telly didn't have it easy as a kid. My guess is he was gay. He probably didn't have it too easy. He said he was 8 years old. He went to a Broadway play and he loved all the music and singing. It made him so happy. He gets out there every night and he says, if there's one kid in that audience like that, me, this show's for you. And I thought that was so inspirational to me. And it's a great way to look at life. The great leaders I've met, I've never seen them down, complain, poor me. It's showtime. They don't have you go to a Broadway play. I use this with my CEO clients. You go to a Broadway play. The kid out there on stage, ever say my foot hurts? No. My aunt died last week? No. I have a headache? No. It is showtime. Well, when I coach people, they make 1,000 times what that kid is making. I said, kid can go out there night after night and do this. You can too. And the great leaders I ever meet, they're always professional. They're always professional. And in essence, it's showtime. Alan Mullally, one of the people we're going to talk about, said, when I frown, the stock price goes down.
Mm. That's a good one. I never heard that one. That's true. Can we talk about how the best CEOs like Alan and Francis Hesselbein never complain and why it's important, to not, and the discipline that Francis showed at the end of her life when you went to visit her, that she never complained. That story I'll never forget that story you shared about her.
Yeah, it's hard to tell a story without crying for me because it's so moving, but she was 107 years old. And so I'd known her for 45 years. So she's a great friend. And I never heard her complain at all about anything at any time. And she had tough times. I mean, I know her whole personal story. It wasn't all pretty with the kids and relatives and health problems and whatever. But, she's just a tough woman who never complained. So Sarah MacArthur calls me and says, if you're going to say goodbye to Francis, you should come by now because I think it's about over. And she was 107. So I took a car to her little home in Easton, Pennsylvania, and I thought she'd probably be in a coma or something, but I thought I'll show up and pay my respects. And Sarah says, Marshall's here. And her eyes light up. And she goes, Marshall, it's wonderful to see you. And she just sucked it up. She said stuff like, I feel great. She's sitting there dying. She can barely breathe. She can't eat. She's probably in excruciating pain. I feel great. And for 20 minutes, she was very up and positive. And I got my wife on a FaceTime, and her voice was weak, but just so my wife could hear, her voice got stronger, and it was amazing. But the 20 minutes had nothing to do with her. This is for me.
Oh, what a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that one. I know it's tough. When I heard you tell that one, it really changed my life, my perspective on life and, you know, um, what a gift you can be to others, even at your toughest moments, like she
Yeah,
was. What an
it's
inspiration.
amazing, amazing woman. And say, I never saw her ever complain or be down or poor me or never a victim, you
Mm,
know. No,
mm.
I mean, I could tell you story after story about her. We could spend the whole podcast on that. But I mean, she got an invitation to go see the President of the United States for dinner, and she turned it down because she had to give a speech at a small nonprofit in Denver, Colorado. And she never told them that the president invited her to dinner. Because if she told them, they would, of course, said, don't come.
Mm.
She said, no, I made a promise. And that was her.
Wow. One of the greatest leaders we've ever had in this country, without a doubt. Francis Hesselbein.
Yeah,
What
Peter
a
Drucker said she was the greatest leader I ever met.
wow. And for those who don't know who Peter Drucker is, I mean, he's known as the father of modern management. And to hear that from him to say that's got a lot of weight to it. You
Oh,
know.
yeah, Peter Drucker did not toss out compliments casually.
Okay, I heard he was very much a direct
Yeah,
communicator.
yeah, very much. Yeah.
Uh, okay, well, speaking of two incredible people and leaders, what is your number one most important lesson you learned from each of the people you have called your heroes and teachers? First being Alan Mullally. Number one lesson.
Well, I learned so many lessons from him as well. We've already discussed one. He's never down, always up, always positive. Another great lesson is the importance of structure and follow-up. I mean, I believe in that anyway, but he established a system called the Business Plan Review, BPR process at Ford. And it's mind-blowing. The stock goes from 101 to 1840. And even more impressive, CEO of the Year in the United States. Even more impressive, he had a 97% approval rating from every employee in a union company. That is unheard of. An auto company CEO with a 97% approval rating? What's that about, right? An amazing, amazing man. Well, day after day after day, discipline. He had this process called the BPR process. You show up, red, yellow, green, you go through a dashboard. And then also, he had behavioral rules. I mean, all stuff in my books. Option A, you behave this way, or option B, work someplace else. And he was an interesting guy. He said, you can believe on the inside whatever you want to believe. I'm not telling you what your religion is or what your beliefs are. That's up to you. When you show up here, here's the way you act. And you don't act that way, don't work here. So he goes to Ford, top 16 people. One guy stands up and says, I'm not going to do this. It's childish. What's he say? Thank you for sharing. And I'm sure you're going to have a good career someplace. And we all love you and goodbye. One more guy does that. Goodbye. That was it. 14 of the 16 people that led the company to bankruptcy were the same people that, when he turned the company around. And the only two that got fired basically fired themselves.
Mm, that's right. They fire themselves essentially. And we hear so often in business that, and in just any organization, that it takes a long time to turn a culture around. It takes, he
Didn't take
proved
him a
that
long time.
wrong. No, it didn't.
It did
What?
not take him a long time. He brought that up. He said this whole business about the turning the cruiser and takes forever and all this stuff. And we don't have forever. We're going bankrupt. Culture is going to change now. And it starts with me and it starts with you. And that was it.
Oh, beautiful. Essentially, he set really clear and high standards, and that was it because we don't have time.
We don't have time and you don't want to behave this way. It's okay. He didn't criticize anyone. If you do not wish to behave this way, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying I'm right, by the way. He didn't say he was right. He said, I'm the CEO of this company, and this is the way we're going to act. Or don't work here.
That's simple. We
Yeah.
often overcomplicate leadership and culture so much. The
He
best
did.
don't. The best simplify.
This is it. Don't put people down. Don't make bad comments about other people. You don't insult your teammates. You don't act like you're smarter than everybody else. I mean, you've read my book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. There's nothing he did that's not in the book. I mean, what he did was not rocket science. The key is he did it.
Oh, well said. What was your number one lesson from another one of your heroes, Francis Hesselbein?
Well, Frances, I'll tell you another story about her. What happened is she calls me up and says, because I do a lot, she was CEO of the Girl Scouts, so I did a lot of volunteer work. Can you give a talk for the top Girl Scout leaders, during this time period? And this heads a big city, New York, Chicago. I said, well, I'd love to help you, but I'm booked every day. I could only work on Saturday. So she goes, you work Saturday, we work Saturday. I'm not a volunteer here, you're the volunteer. I said, but I'm embarrassed to say, Francis, I'm in a different city every day. I got to get my clothes cleaned. It's not a problem. We have laundry facility here at the Girl Scout Center. We'll get your clothes cleaned. You give the talk, clothes all done.
Mm.
I said, well, thank you. What do I do? He said, take all your dirty clothes, put them on a pile in the middle of the floor there, your room, and then I'll have someone pick them up. We'll get them clean. You're done. They'll all be ready. I said, well, thank you. Put all my dirty clothes in a pile, dirty socks, underwear, everything. And the next morning, we're having breakfast. I'm having breakfast with the head of the Girl Scouts in New York, very distinguished women, LA, all the big cities. I look up, walking across the hall is her. She's carrying the dirty laundry to the laundry room herself. Every woman saw her. She didn't have to give a speech about humility, servant leadership. No.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Lead by example. You don't have to talk.
Amen.
Yeah.
Peter Drucker, your favorite lesson from Peter Drucker.
Well, again, I got ranked number one leadership thinker in the world twice. My brain compared to him was that of a 10-year-old. So Peter Drucker was not smart. He was extremely smart. Uh, One of the great compliments I had in life was the fact Peter Drucker would even speak to me. Because if he didn't respect you, he would not waste a lot of time with you.
Mm.
So very honored. I was on his advisory board for 10 years. So I was very, very lucky to learn a lot from him. And Peter Drucker's always quoted. I quote Peter Drucker all the time on LinkedIn.
Mm.
One of the reasons he's always quoted, he spoke in quotes. A lot of people don't know this, but Peter Drucker was a journalist
Okay.
and he thought in headlines. And English wasn't his first language, but his amazing gift for talking in these quotes. One reason he's quoted all the time is that's the way he spoke. So I've tried to emulate that. And I'm always doing quotes all the time on LinkedIn now. Like every week I do these little quotes, and every week maybe 400,000 people read these things. And so, I learned that from Peter Drucker. And now don't worry about just writing the book. I actually write the quote. Well, another thing I got from Peter Drucker is, and this is a great lesson. Everyone listening, if you learn nothing today but this lesson, you're going to be a better leader and have a happier life. He said, our mission in life is to make a positive difference, not to prove how smart we are and not to prove how right we are. And we smart people get lost. We're proving we're smart. We're proving we're right. Who cares? We're not here on earth to prove how smart we are and right we are. We're here to make a positive difference. If you don't make a positive difference, it doesn't matter how smart you are or how right you are. Then he said, every decision in life is made by the person who has the power to make the decision. Make peace with that. Not the smartest person, the best person, a good person, or a fair person. The decision maker makes a decision. If I need to influence you and you have the power to make the decision, there is one and only one word to describe you, customer. One word to describe me, salesperson. Customers don't have to buy. Salespeople have to sell. You sell what you can sell. You change what you can change. If you can sell it, sell it. You can change it, change it. You can't sell it and you can't change it. Take a deep breath and let it go. Just let it go. Put your time and energy where you can make a difference, not where you're not going to make a difference. And you're not going to sell everything.
Mm. Oh, that's life-changing advice right there.
Yeah, we
Well,
spend so much in life talking about them and poor me, and as if somehow they are obligated to do what I think they should do. We don't take responsibility saying, look, they don't have to buy. You got to
mm,
sell. By the way,
that's
this doesn't stop. I mean, CEOs have a board of directors, and I've seen CEOs point out to the board of directors how they're all wrong. It usually doesn't work out well.
No, it doesn't. That's where you step in. I know to straighten that out, that behavior out. And if you're not following Marshall on LinkedIn, please do. He's got one of the world's largest followings on LinkedIn and some of the best content you'll ever read. It will not only help your career, but help you live a better life for sure. So thanks for everything you do on LinkedIn. Lastly, one of my favorite teachers as well, Thich Nhat Hanh, one of my
Yeah.
favorite authors, and just a incredible soul. What was your number one lesson you learned from him? I know you've read a
Yeah,
lot
I
of.
got to spend a week in Plum Village in France in his monastery. That was nice. And then I got to spend time in San Diego in a monastery, so that was nice. And you know, very simple, humble, brilliant guy. And be happy now. I'm not next week, not next year, not some other time. Now. And that's it. Just find peace in the moment. And the great Western disease, I'll be happy when. Well, no, you won't.
No, that's right. And he was a great, just like Peter Drucker, what a great communicator he was. I mean, they both spoke in bumper stickers, they both spoke in quotes.
Yeah,
And if you're interested in learning more about Thich Nhat Hanh, anyone listening, I found a great place to start is a book called Your True Home, which is a
right.
daily reader. Oh, just beautiful. Great way to
Well, you
start
know,
the
what
day.
my favorite book of his is called Old Path, White Clouds. I love that book. It's like reading children's bedtime stories or something. You know, it's just you feel peaceful just reading the book.
Mm,
But I like all of his books. So he's written many books. I'm a great fan.
okay. Okay. Old Path, White Cloud.
Mhm.
I picked that one up on your recommendation, actually.
Yeah,
That's
oh, you'll
interesting.
love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, that's another great recommendation. Now, uh, maybe a segue here. Wasting you shouldn't waste time. We shouldn't waste our life on topics that don't matter and only focus on where we can make a positive difference. And asking yourself, am I willing to make a positive investment or make the investment required to make a positive difference in this topic? Can you teach us about that philosophy? It's one of my
It,
favorites.
it's just a simple question. Back to the Peter Drucker point, we're here to make a positive difference. And we are barraged by stimulus now. For example, if you have a news feed, get rid of it. There's something in Google called incognito. And if you then it's very hard to get. You have to kind of go through junk. They don't want you to do it, of course, but because it cuts out ads. But it eliminates your news feed. The news feed is a disaster for people. It just creates a sense of addiction, divisiveness, everything. This constant stimulus, right? Well, the great learning point here is life is short and only focus on areas where you can make a difference. And we can so easily get distracted by the news and by this and that and advertisements and social media, sports. Vicarious living is a great example. You know, live your own life. don't live vicariously. So many of us live through the football player, the athlete, you know, we're it's they don't care about us. They're not bad people, but they don't care about us. Live your life. Don't live their lives. I'll
That's
tell you
right.
an amusing story about myself. This is before I learned about this incognito mode. Uh, I'm just randomly looking, and I wrote books about this stuff. This illustrates how easy it is to get hooked by these things. I go to Google and I look up something, and there's something about Baker Mayfield, the football player. Now, Baker Mayfield is my son's neighbor in Austin, Texas. So that's interesting. Click Baker Mayfield. Well, the next day, not knowing what's going on here, I see two or three things about Baker Mayfield. Oh, how interesting. Click, click. The next day, Baker Mayfield. Next thing you know, it seemed like half of all the football news or half all the news about Baker Mayfield. Click, click, click. All of a sudden, I'm falling in love with Baker Mayfield. Well, what is wrong with you? Why are you spending your time studying about Baker Mayfield? He doesn't care about you. I write books about this stuff. I'll tell you,
That's
these people are paid billions of dollars to make you addicted. Billions, not millions, billions to make you addicted. And they are good at it. They are good at it. So it's not I'm not stupid.
mm, mm,
This is me. I write books. Don't do this myself.
mm.
And I noticed, what is wrong with me? Well, it just, you don't see it. It's they're good at it,
The best at
the
it.
best, and they're getting paid a lot of money. They get paid a lot of money to make you addicted to vicarious living.
That's right.
Yeah,
And we have to focus on our own life, our own happiness, and what we can control.
yeah, yeah,
That's right. That's right. That's wild because you wrote the book on behavioral change. You wrote
yeah,
the
yeah. I
book.
know. I wrote the book about it. Doesn't matter. I'm not exempt.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh,
Yeah,
it's amazing. Okay. When I wrote this next question down, as I was writing, I thought after 100 plus episodes, I thought this might be the most important question I'll ever ask on this podcast. Can you talk about your advice if you want your kid to be happy? You go first and you be happy.
yeah. One of my great coaching clients. By the way, I can mention names for all my coaching clients. So you go to my books; they're all there. Any coaching client says, "I don't want you to mention my name. I don't work with."
Okay.
Well, you got a problem with having a coach, you know, if you're embarrassed, don't work with me.
Mm.
Well, it's never been a problem for me. So this idea you can't mention who your clients are is based on a model of psychological illness.
Oh.
My clients are not sick people. They don't
Mm.
have anything to be ashamed of. I mean, President of World Bank, 5 CEOs a year. These are great people. Well, one of the great clients I work with is David Chang. And David Chang's a famous chef. Just a good guy. And I really was happy. He wrote a book too called Eat a Peach, which is hilarious. And one chapter in the book is about me, which is the book itself, somewhat not so much hilarious. The part about me is just funny. So he wrote a book called Eat a Peach. And anyway, David, I work with David. He's a good guy, but never quite 100% got through it. Just be happy. Because David has many blessings in life. And, like all people, businesses up and down and dramas. And you know how small businesses are. It's tough. Finally, though, David had a couple kids and he loves his kids. And I said to David, David, do you want your kids to be happy? He said, nothing is more important than my kids being happy. I said, do you believe in leadership by example? He said, yes. I said, okay, you want your kids to be happy? You go first. You go first. You go home every night and tell your kid how miserable you are. What message does that send? And, I work with a lot of family businesses. And sometimes the dad wants the son or daughter to, take over the business. And I was teaching at a company called John Deere, and a lot of them, they own family businesses. Their dealerships are like family businesses around the world. And I forget what country I'm in, but I said, look, you want your kid to take over the business, don't go home every night and talk about how miserable you are. And one guy comes up after the program and he's crying. And he said, my biggest disappointment was my son didn't take over the business, had no interest. And you know what my son said? I don't want to be you when I grow up. Well, every night he went home, talked about how hard he worked, all the sacrifices he was making, how miserable he was. What do you expect? Yeah, kids, I don't want to be you.
We have to live by example.
Well, the other thing is, especially if you have kids, he, like me, was brought up poor. Kid's not brought up poor.
Mm.
And, the kids are different than us. They're not brought up poor. I remember my own daughter. We live in Rancho Santa Fe, California, which is basically a mansion. And I'm a typical parent. When I was a little boy, we were so poor and I had an outhouse in school and, blah, blah, blah. And my daughter looks at me and says, Daddy, she's 7 years old. She said, Daddy, it's not my fault you made money. And she said, and Daddy, I did not buy this house, you did. So why are you dumping this on me? I
Oh,
didn't
she's
buy
so
his
smart.
house. I didn't make his money. You did, right? You act like I have something to be guilty about. She was 7. Yeah, it's not my fault you made money. Great line for my daughter.
That's right. I understand she's the apple didn't fall far from the tree in terms of Kelly and the similarities.
Yeah, well,
Can you tell?
she graduated from Duke. Then she graduates from Duke, and then she's a college professor and dean, and then she got a PhD from Yale. She's college now. She's a endowed chair full professor here in Vanderbilt.
Oh
So that's
wow.
why I live in Nashville right now. Yeah, so she's one of the world's experts on a topic of scarcity, and yeah, so yeah, I'm very proud of her, and she's also helped me in my work a lot.
Mhm. What are the top three lessons? Maybe three, five, handful of lessons that you want to pass on to Kelly on success in life? If you could
Well,
write it on a napkin.
Kelly, one lesson she learned from me is this Peter Drucker lesson that decision makers make decisions. I mean, it's hard to get a PhD. Getting a PhD in many ways like a humility contest. It is hard. And
Mm.
she really got the point. Look, I'm not the professor here. I don't have a PhD. They do. And they're going to sign on. If they sign on this thing, I'm going to graduate. They don't sign on this dissertation, I'm not going to graduate. Well, she got the point. So I think it's one reason she's done well academically. She understands that. And, she's, very young, but she's already an endowed chair full professor. And so but that's not easy. It's a discipline. So one thing she got from me is that one of the things both my son and daughter got from me is understanding who the customer is. Also from Peter Drucker. I mean, look, my kids are humans like everybody else, and they screw up all the time like I do and you do. One thing they learned though is who's the customer. Even when they were little, if we had customers come to our house, I said, look, kids, you are not going to misbehave today. This house is going to look good. You are going to look good. I didn't buy this house. These people bought this house, and you're going to treat these people with respect.
Mm.
And my kids learned that at a young age, both of them. Both my son and daughter always have a good feel for who is the customer. You always treat the customer with respect, and you know who the customer is. So I would say that's a great lesson that the kids learned.
Oh, beautiful. What a great lesson. What a
Yeah.
great thing to teach someone at a young age. Let's see. Can you talk about this? I think this is one of my favorite lessons I've ever learned on how to create a positive habit slash behavioral change slash achieve a life changing goal. And it's your simple and highly effective success strategy of write it down every day,
Right.
do it and don't make excuses, and get somebody to follow up with you. I love this so much. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, I'm going to now teach everyone listening a process that takes 3 minutes a day, costs nothing, and will help you get better at almost anything.
Mm.
Some people are skeptical right now. 3 minutes a day costs nothing. Help me get better at almost anything. Sounds too good to be true. About half the people start doing this quit in 2 weeks. And they don't quit because it doesn't work. They quit because it does work. It's hard to do. By the way, anybody tells me it's easy to do, they've never done it. It's not easy to do. It's hard to do. I have someone call me up every day. Why? My name is Mark. People say, do I have a coach? I've had someone talk to me almost daily for 27 years to try to make sure I do the stuff I teach. Why? My name is Marshall. I'm too cowardly and undisciplined to do this stuff by myself. I need help. It's okay. We all need help. Who are we kidding? So get out a spreadsheet. On one column, write down a series of questions that represent what's most important in your life. Friends, family, coworkers, etc. Every question has answered with yes and no or a number. Every day you fill out the little form. End of the week, you get a report card. I want to warn everybody listening, that report card at the end of the week is not as beautiful as the corporate values plaque you see stuck up on the wall. I've been doing this 27 years. You know what you quickly learn? Life is real easy to talk and life is real hard to live. One of my daily questions, for example, how many times yesterday did you try to prove you were right when it was not worth it? I don't see so many zeros on my scorecard. How about you? Do you ever try to prove you're right a little bit too much, Mr. Coach?
Mm.
Yeah. How many angry or destructive comments did I make about other people yesterday? I don't see enough zeros there either. See, I don't want other people stabbing me in the back. Why am I stabbing someone else in the back? How many steps did you take? Push-ups, sit-ups, say something nice for your wife, your daughter, your son, your grandkids. Just basic questions about life. How many minutes did I spend on books? I mean, all those books I've done, they didn't happen by themselves. You got to work. Well, day after day after day, my friend Jim Moore would tell you this saved his life. It didn't kind of save his life. It did save his life. One of his questions is, are you currently updated on your physical exam? After 90 days, he said, no, every day. It was embarrassing. I got to get the exam or quit asking. He got the dumb exam. The doctor said, you have cancer. Now, he's fine. That was 15 years ago. The doctor said, had you waited 7 more months, you've been dead. He knew he should have got a physical exam. He was chief learning officer of 3 multi-billion-dollar companies. He's not stupid. He didn't do it. Well, you hold a mirror in your face every day. Hard to hide. You have to face the reality of our own lives. Easy to talk and hard to do, though.
That's right. And I followed your process for years. You sent me your report card, years ago so I could see it. And it's for those listening, it's essentially a daily checklist in the areas of health, work, relationships, all these important things you want to do each day. And I've used it again for years. I can attest to it. It's one of the best things I've ever done. It works. And
Now let me ask you a question. You, like me, have done this for years. Why is this so hard to do for so many people?
boy, that's a great question. I think we overthink success. We overthink it. We overcomplicate it. I think that's part of it for sure. Just overthinking. Well, it can't be this simple, uh, right? And it is. I think that's part of it.
Go on a diet and work out every day. It's not that complicated.
Right.
Like,
That's
see,
right.
every day my weight hasn't changed over 2 pounds, over maybe 3 or 4 pounds in, I don't know, 10 years.
Yeah, same.
What's the secret? I weigh myself every day. And if I get a little bit above the goal, I don't eat so much. And if I get below the goal, I eat more. Pretty complicated stuff there, right?
That's it. That's
That's
it.
about it, right?
Yeah.
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 It seems to work, right?
It seems to work. It's worked for both of us, I think, for years. And what I could tell you is that what I learned from you, why this works. Number one, Peter Drucker said this: what gets measured gets improved.
Right.
And what you're talking about is a daily measurement process, measuring the most important things. And then number two, get an accountability partner. I mean, these
Right.
are nuclear weapons in terms of behavior change, habit formation. It's two of the best things I've learned in 20 plus years of studying this. I mean, I learned it from you. It just works, and it is that simple. And then no excuses, a no excuses mentality.
Yeah.
To just, okay, I'm going to get it done. I'm not perfect at this. I'm not going to be 100%, 100% of the time, but I'm going to get it right more often than not because I measure it and I have an accountability partner. Does that make sense?
That makes a ton of sense. And this forces us to face the reality of our own lives. It forces us to confront our own humanity. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. And also, it's okay. Look, it's okay. I make mistakes every day. You make mistakes every day. We're humans. It's okay. Just It's not the end of the world. I made a
Right.
mistake yesterday. Okay. New day, new day, new day.
That's right. That's right. Not the end of the world. As our mutual friend Alan Weiss says, no one's shooting at us.
That's it.
Yeah. It's not that serious. New day. Right. New day. Just give your best effort tomorrow to get it right. Um, Here's another one of my all-time favorite piece of advice from you. Can you talk about the importance of asking yourself, "Am I being the person I want to be right now?" From your friend Carol Kaufman, and you said you could save people reading, 400 books on Buddhism with this question. I love that.
Well, I mean, Gary Ridge is one of the great CEOs of our time. He just wrote a book called Any Dumbass Can Do It. He's a great guy. And so Gary Ridge has that posted up in his office, so he sees it every day. And I think that's just a great discipline. Am I being the person I want to be right now? When I go home, before you start yelling at that kid or looking at your cell phone, am I being the father I want to be right now? You're at work. Before you make some nasty comment about your colleague, am I being the partner I want to be right now? And just doing that over and over, and I learned that from Carol. It's a wonderful discipline. And also back to Thich Nhat Hanh, get you back to the moment. You're not talking about some abstraction. You are talking about you, and you're talking about now. Am I being the person that I want to be right now? And Margot Georgiadis was the head of marketing at Google, was at Mattel for a while, then was CEO of Ancestry, a huge success, turned her company around. And she had a good saying. She said, this Zoom call may be the least important call of the week for me, but it's probably the most important call of the week for them.
Mm.
So that's it. Or like Telly, he's not out there on stage every day for himself. It's for them. Well, you got to keep reminding yourself of that. I'm not here for me.
Mm. That's right. That's right. And this has been a life-changing question for me. So thank you for sharing that one with me. I mean, I ask it multiple times a day now. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's very prescriptive. Am I being the person I want to be right now?
You know what you can do? You can do me a favor. I want you to send me an email and only discuss this one topic and say, you taught me this lesson that was taught to you by Carol Kaufman, and I used this multiple times and it's helped change my life. I will then take your email, copy it, and send it to Carol Kaufman as well. And I'll copy you on it. That would
Oh,
make her
beautiful.
feel good.
Oh, honored. Honored. I'd love for her to hear that. Thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah. Well,
What,
she deserves it.
that question alone, can put our life in a much better direction if we just, again, keep it simple, don't overthink it, just make the habit of asking yourself a few times a day. And I love that your friend has it on a poster in his office or a picture in his office to remind himself every day.
Right.
Wow. Oh, that's such a great idea. I need to do that. I need to get that poster, that picture made. Um, Here's another one of my favorite questions I've learned from you. And you shared this from Harry Kramer. Did I do my best? And did I do the right thing?
Yeah. Harry Kramer's an amazing guy. I love this guy. So he is one of the overall, I'd say if I had to say who is the success in life, he's one of the ones that's just right at the top. When I say success, I mean I work with a lot of people who have money. That's what I'm talking about. But he has been a CEO. He's now gives talks. He's a great professor at the Kellogg School at Northwestern. He loves it. He donates almost everything he does. He donates some money to charity, and he loves the charity. He loves his work. He works a lot, but he loves his family. I just say he's a great guy. Well, he's a member of our 100 coaches. And in one of our meetings, somebody said, Harry, you are the CEO of a big company. You've had to fire people. You've had to lay people off. You've had to make tough decisions. How do you sleep at night? You know what he said? I never forgot this. He said, I have no trouble sleeping at night. I only ask two questions. Did I do what I thought was right? And did I do my best? And if the answer is yes and yes, I can sleep at night. You know why? That's all I could have done. And have I made mistakes? Of course. That's not the point. I did what I thought was best at the time, and I tried. Make peace. That's all you can do anyway.
That's right. And boy, does that simplify life down so we don't
Yeah.
beat ourselves up. Did I do what was right? And did I do my best? Did I do what I think was right? And did I do my best?
Yeah. That's it.
You talk about the one breath paradigm where every breath is a new you, and just the power of self-forgiveness. I think it's one of the greatest tools I've ever learned in terms of, I call it, in terms of self-compassion and self-forgiveness, as well as anti-perfectionism. It's the antidote to perfectionism and people beating themselves up all the time.
Right.
Can you talk about that? Every time you take a new breath, it's a new you, and the power of forgiveness, self-forgiveness.
Yeah. And it's a great way to look at life. Every time I take a deep breath, it's a new me. And whatever happened in the past was done by the previous versions of you. Now, they made mistakes. Okay. Maybe they didn't do the right thing. Okay. But you know what? They're not here anymore. And whatever they did, whatever you are now, is a result of these people's activities. And like in your case, you're doing well right now. What should you say to those previous versions of you? Thank you so much. And the past is over. And two things. One, you got to forgive other people for being who they are. And then two, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for expecting them to be somebody else. And forgive yourself for being a human being. You're just a human being. It's okay. You made mistakes. It's fine. We all do. Moving on, moving on. It's a great way to look at life. And I had an interesting story in my own life. And I want to get into one thing I'm working on too, my new AI thing. And I'll tell you, one of the things I found very inspirational from one of my clients. One of my clients, who's a very important person, was earlier in life engaged.
Hmm.
And he found out his fiance was a billionaire after they were engaged. He was angry. He said, you didn't tell me this. That's an important part of your life. You don't trust me. What's going on here? And he dumped her. But then they got back together. He said, well, I love you. And it all worked out. And she said, look, I have this money. I didn't earn this money. I was just born and got this money. It is not to my credit. It is also not to my discredit. I didn't do anything right. I didn't do anything wrong. I just got this money. Now, she said, there's one thing you can do to help me, yourself, and the world. You're MD, you're a PhD, you're a brilliant person, you want to make the world better, go big.
Hmm.
Go big. Well, I love that. Great way. And I learned myself, look, whatever me sitting here hasn't achieved anything. Those previous renditions of me did a lot of hard work. And they put me in a position, the present me, in a position to do stuff. Well, they've given me a lot of gifts. Thank you, previous me's. Well, go big. So right now, what I'm working on is go big, and I'm working on a new project. And my new project is that basically go big. And I think this is going to be mind blowing because what I'm doing is number one, I've always wanted to give away everything I know to everybody I could. And why not? I don't, quote, intellectual property. I don't even like the concept of intellectual property.
Hmm.
Um, at least for me, other people can do whatever they want to, but for me, I just want to give everything away. I'm going to die. Buddhism, you get old, you get sick, you die. It's one of the key points of Buddhism. Well, it's fine. So I'm going to give everything away anyway. And so what now? I am developing a computer bot, Marshall, and you can go there right now, marshallgoldsmith.ai. And what it is designed to do is share everything I know. On the other hand, that was my original goal. My original goal was it would answer about, 80% of the questions as well as me. That is gone. It can answer almost any question, not only as well as me, but better than me, and not only trivial questions. I just ask it, how is your coaching related to Buddhist philosophy? That's not very trivial. I'll just take 1 minute, see what it says. My coaching is related to Buddhist philosophy in several ways. Mindfulness, I encourage clients to practice mindfulness, which involves being fully present and aware of their thoughts and actions. This helps them gain clarity and focus, which is essential for effective leadership. Compassion. I emphasize the importance of compassion in leadership. By understanding and empathizing with others, leaders can create more cohesive and motivated teams. Impermanence. I help clients understand the concept of impermanence, which is the idea that all things change. This can assist them in adapting to new challenges and being more resilient in the face of change. Non-attachment. I guide clients towards non-attachment, helping them to let go of fixed outcomes and remain open to various possibilities. This can lead to greater flexibility and creativity in their approach to problem solving. Self-awareness. Through self-reflection, which is a key aspect of Buddhist philosophy, I help clients become more aware of their behaviors and the impact they have on others, leading to more effective personal and professional development. Incorporating these principles into my coaching practice allows me to help clients develop as leaders and individuals in a holistic and balanced way.
That guy's pretty smart.
Not too bad. You speak any other languages beside English?
A little bit of Spanish.
A little bit of Spanish? Well,
Más o
that's
menos.
a good question. How can I be happier? Interesting question. How can I be happier? Para ser más feliz, se requiere disciplina y desapego de los resultados de lo que estás haciendo. La felicidad proviene del interior y no se puede lograr únicamente a través de factores externos, como alcanzar una meta.
Unbelievable. Do you speak Spanish?
No,
Okay. Unbelievable. And I've used the Marshall's AI
it's
many
going to be
times.
able to do 44 languages.
Oh wow. I've used it many times. It's incredible. There's nothing out there like it. I just every time I use it, I think it gets smarter. I
Oh,
don't
it's
know if it's
getting
just
better
me
and
or
better. My daughter asked it, how is your coaching related to utilitarian philosophy? Now, I've read 400 books on Buddhism, so I could at least provide a passable answer to the Buddhist question. By the way, not as good as that, but a passable answer. I don't even know what utilitarian philosophy is. It studies utilitarian philosophy. It studies my philosophy. It figures out how my philosophy is related and dissimilar to utilitarian philosophy. Then it says, if Marshall Goldsmith did this research, how would Marshall Goldsmith answer this question? It answers exactly like I would answer the question because it knows me
Mm.
in 5 seconds in 44 languages and soon to be video as well as audio.
Oh wow. Yeah, I can't wait for the video as well. I mean,
It's coming.
it's very personable already. And I think you're the first person on the planet to do something like this. I'm not aware of anyone downloading their knowledge base, a world-class expert, someone who's on, the Michael Jordan of their field, essentially, downloading their knowledge base into AI, and sharing their special gifts with the world. It's just incredible. I mean, you're a
Well,
trailblazer in that.
thank you so much. This is beyond my knowledge base, though.
Mm.
What this is like a version of me who can study anything around the world and answer as if I had done that study through my philosophy of life.
Wow.
That's what this is. So it's not as smart as me. It's hundreds, thousands of times as smart as me.
Wow.
And, people ask me, am I threatened by this? Not really. I mean, I'm not here to win some smart contest against an AI computer. It's not going to happen.
Wow. They talk about a great use of technology. I mean, really using it to make the world a better place. I mean, through your LinkedIn and, your social media, using that to make a world a better place and using AI. It's a great example for anyone listening, how to really use social media and AI. Can I ask you one more question? Do you have time for one more question?
Go ahead.
Your hero's exercise you learned from Aisha Bursell. Boy,
Right.
do I love this one. I mean, if people can do this exercise and pick the right heroes. I mean, Warren Buffett said, the best thing you can ever do is pick the right heroes. It's the most
Right.
important thing you could ever do. Can you
Right.
walk us through that exercise quickly if you have time?
We got plenty of time. What Aisha taught me, she's a wonderful person, by the way, Ayscbirsel, if you want to look her up. She taught me this exercise called the heroes exercise. And this changed my life. She said, think of your heroes. Who are your heroes? Well, my heroes were kind and generous people, many of whom we've already talked about, such as Paul Hersey, my first mentor. He and Ken Blanchard invented situational leadership. Very kind to me. Warren Bennis, Richard Beckard, Francis Hesselbein, Alan Mullally, Peter Drucker. These are my heroes. Well, why are they your heroes? In my case, they were kind and generous people, and they never charged me money. Buddha never charged me money. I call Buddha, Buddha, I use your stuff all the time. Do I need to send you commissions? No, no. I don't send commissions to Buddha, right? Well, I use Buddha stuff all the time. Why am I not going to let people use my stuff? So she said, how can you be more like your heroes? I decided to adopt 15 people, teach them all I know for free. And the only price is they got old, they had to do the same thing. I make a little video, put it on LinkedIn. Turned out to be the most widely viewed video in the history of LinkedIn. 18,000 people apply to be adopted. So now there's 400 people in this group called the 100 Coaches. It's a great way to look at life, though. Who are your heroes? So give everybody the exercise right now. Don't talk about it in your head. Just do it. Write down the names of two people who are your heroes. And one of these people should be someone you can contact in real life, a real human you can contact. Who are these people who are heroes? Then you write down, why is this person your hero? And then you say, all right, what can I do to be this person? What can I do to be like this person? Now, your heroes are not going to be perfect. No humans are perfect. Many of my heroes had flaws. I have flaws. It's okay. Then, when you get done with that, afterwards, I want you to contact that one person who's on your list and say the following. You know, I just went through an exercise and I was asked to pick someone who's the greatest hero in my life, and that was you. And here's why you are a hero to me. Now, how would you feel if somebody did that to you? You feel great. Well, it's your opportunity to do that for somebody else.
Wow. That's my challenge to everyone listening. Do that exercise. I've done it. It, again, it'll point your life in the best possible direction. What are some hero criteria, Marshall? What would you say would be good criteria?
Well, just a simple one is my life better off because I met this human being?
Yeah.
That's it. And look, that's the way I look at life. Is my life better off or worse off because of this person? If my life is better off, all right, so they made some mistakes. So they did some things they shouldn't have done. And we're all humans.
Mm.
And I'm not saying all these people, my heroes, are perfect people. They're not perfect people. They're human people. They made mistakes. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. It's okay. But I always just say, is my life better off because I met this person? If the answer is yes, they win.
Mm.
Now, I'm going to give your listeners one other thing, especially anyone interested in coaching. There's only one message that you need to give any human being to me to make the biggest difference. That's this. You just breathe. You look the person in the eye and you say the following. Let's forget about your corporation for a few minutes. Forget about this getting ahead and money and status and all that stuff. Forget about all that stuff. Just for a minute. Breathe. You are just a human being. Is there anything I can do to help you as a human being have a little better life? That's my goal.
Mm.
And then everyone I coach, you know what I always ask? Is that okay? You might be surprised to learn that 100% of everyone I've coached, you know what they've said?
Mm.
That's just fine. You don't have to do any more than that.
Mm. You definitely did that for me today.
Thank you.
Can you share with us your favorite piece of advice, which is also my favorite piece of advice, life advice, the advice from your wise 95-year-old self?
I want everybody to take a deep breath. Put both feet on the ground. Smile. Do your hand like this. Hand. Hand. Let go, let go, let go. Now, I want you to imagine you're 95 years old and you're just getting ready to die. You're on that deathbed. Here comes your last breath. Right before you take that last breath, you're given a beautiful gift, the ability to go back in time, the ability to go back in time and talk to the person that's listening to me right now, the ability for that old you to come back and talk to the you that's here. What advice would the 95-year-old you who knows what really mattered in life and what did not matter and what was really important and what was not important, what advice would that old person have for the you that's listening to me right now? Whatever you're thinking now, do that. In terms of a performance appraisal, that is the only one that's going to matter. That old person says, you did the right thing, you did the right thing. That old person says, you made a mistake, you made a mistake. You do not have to impress anyone but that old person. Some friends of mine interviewed old folks who are dying, got to ask them this question: what advice would you have? On a personal side, three themes. Theme number one, three words: be happy now. Not next week, not next month. The Great Western Disease. I'll be happy when I get the money status. BMW. I'll be happy when. Be happy now. Now, some of your listeners, let's say one of your listeners is 45. That person may be listening to me talking. Easy for you to say, oh man, you got millions of bucks. You live in a fancy neighborhood. You work with great clients. You sold 4 million books. Easy for you to say, oh boy. Well, Mr. Miss 45-year-old listener, you got something I don't have called 30 years. Now, you want a few books? Send me the 30 years. Maybe we'll talk. My point is, never get so focused on what you don't have, you forget what you do have. Number two, friends and family. Never get so busy climbing that corporate ladder of success, you forget the people that love you. When you're 95 years old, they're the only ones waving goodbye. And if you got a dream, go for it, because you don't go for it when you're 45, you may not when you're 85. And it doesn't have to be a big dream, maybe a little dream. Go to New Zealand, speak Spanish. Other people think your dream is goofy. Who cares? It's not their dream, it's your dream. Not their life, it's your life. Business 5 says much different. Number one, life is short. Have fun. You don't like what you're doing at work. I'm not naive. Sometimes you got to get the money, but you don't like what you're doing. Figure out some way to get out of there. Life is short. Have fun. Do whatever you can do to help people. And the main reason to help people has nothing to do with money or status or getting ahead. The main reason to help people is the 95-year-old you will be proud of you because you did and disappointed if you don't. And then finally, if you have a dream, go for it. Old people, we seldom regret the risks we take and fail. We regret the risk we fail to take. And finally, thank you for inviting me to be on your show. My mission is, I just hope some people out there listening, if some of you have a little bit better life, this is really a good use of my time. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you. Thank you. And everyone listening or watching, please go to LinkedIn and follow Marshall if you want your day to be a little better life each day. And also go to marshallgoldsmith.ai and ask some great questions on life and leadership. They are both two of the best things you will find online. Marshall, where do you have anything else you want to share where people can find you?
Oh, yeah, it's very, very easy. I'm working on my website's not very good right now, but I'm redoing it. So in a couple of months, go to marshallgoldsmith.com. Yeah, I would recommend it right now, but give it a couple, 3 months. It's going to be good too.
Okay,
Oh,
beautiful.
also go to coaching.com. I've got 30 free videos online you can get on coaching.com about my coaching. All
Okay.
the stuff's free, by the way. And when I
Okay.
say free, one thing I'm proud of, it's really free. It's not like there's some pay $50 and get an extra bonus club and all that stuff. No, it's just free.
I can attest to that. It's all out there for free. It's all out there. So dive into the Marshall Goldsmith universe, as I call it. It's a good place to live. There's so much out there. And thank you so much for today. Thank you for all the things you do for free for all of us. And thank you for making my life better.
Thank you. And, I'm very honored to be here and I'm so impressed with the hard work you've done. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Marshall. I appreciate you. Take care.
Bye bye.